from Hobby Design called Alpha Model. It's pretty much just Hobby Design rebranded to focus on full kits instead of the aftermarket add-ons they usually do for cars, bikes, and all sorts of other kits alike. Now, recently they have started producing a couple kits, two from the Bugatti, the Chiron Gran Turismo, and also the Chiron Road version. Now, I really love the look of the Chiron and always wanted a kit of it, and I was glad they built it. Now, it is incredibly expensive, and that's why I'm also dreading the build, as it is so expensive, some things can go wrong, and I really don't want to ruin it. And on the other hand, I'm just going to do it and show you where I go wrong, and also have something exciting to show you. So let's go through the box quickly and then into a bit more detail. I do want to add a very important point. I was not paid, nor was I given a discount. I paid the price for the kit myself. Hobby Design or Alpha Model has nothing to do with this build whatsoever. The main kit is cast in resin, and there are also a couple of metal parts, and for the clear parts it's vacuum formed plastic. Now, this isn't perfect, there are a couple of imperfections, and it does have a bit of orange peel, but for kits like this and the full resin other kits alike, this is pretty normal, as they don't have the ability to cast or to injection mold the plastic to make this a lot better of a part, so they just do it with the vacuum forming, and it pretty much does the job. There are also a couple of other clear parts in this kit. These are cast resin. They are small enough to be cast and still look good, and also capture a lot of the details in these parts, alongside the other parts that are vacuum formed. Those are pretty big to be cast without imperfections, and it wouldn't really be as nice and clear as these parts can be due to the size. The main tub for the interior is one piece. You of course need to add a couple more, but the main thing is all molded in one big block of resin, which fits nice and snugly into the resin body itself. There, of course, are a load more small parts to the interior and also some on the chassis. I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail on these parts, as they will be seen in the main build itself. Just important to note, everything is there and nicely detailed. The casting is very crisp and it fits together well. Doesn't really need that much adjusting. Now, the part I do want to show is the door cards. It's a nice separate piece and even has some details in it for the stitching. Just like the door cards, the seats also have some nice details for the pattern and some stitching along the side as well. It even has some buckles for the seat belts to be buckled into. The final piece of the interior worth mentioning is the dashboard. It comes nicely packaged in a Ziploc bag with a paper towel over it to protect it, as it has a couple of sharp and fragile edges. Nicely detailed again, just like all the other parts. You can see a couple of the print lines here on the left, but not a big deal. A bit of paint will pretty much cover that up, and with all the other details it wouldn't really be that noticeable either. The main pieces of the chassis are nice and flat, have a couple of details in them, and also some holes to mount it with the screws that come with the kit as well. The rear diffuser is molded in a separate piece. nicely detailed, has a good shape to it, and will look really good with some carbon fiber decals all over it. The kit itself is a so-called curbside, meaning it doesn't come with full engine detail or an opening hood. It does, however, show the parts that is visible from the top, as that is not covered by the hood, famously on these Veyrons and also the Chiron in this case as well. Of course, it comes with wheels and tires as well. The front is a bit smaller than the rear and also a little bit less wide. The tires have a nice profile to them. On the rear, they have a bit of flashing from the molding. Nothing too special. It can just be scraped off, maybe sanded a bit to form it a bit better. It is, of course, two pieces, so you have the tire, which is a flexible resin, and of course the resin on the wheel as well. Has a bit of flashing here and there, but nothing to worry about, easily cleaned up. You also get a couple sheets with decals, one with various decals for the interior, which is nicely protected with a decal protection sheet. It is a super nicely printed decal sheet with a lot of nice details in it. Also a couple of logos for on the brake calipers in different colors, and the various gauges and logos for all around. You even get the Bugatti logo for on the front, and some metal transfer stickers as well for the various emblems, and some chrome parts for the mirrors. Alongside the decals, you also get a couple sheets of metal, and these are called photo etch, of course. Now they are in various thicknesses. This one is very thin, as it's supposed to conform around a couple of the parts and more so act like a paint mask than a specific part itself. As you can see, they are super thin and probably not really that usable, but we'll see if I can get around to using them. Some other parts are a lot thicker. This one is a bit thicker than the other one, has a couple of the mesh grills and other details for the interior on it as well. And then some for the disc brakes, wipers, and other details, and some more interior detailing and various other bits as well. And the final pieces before we move on to the body, one bag with a couple of screws to put it all together, and also a sheet of clear plastic. I think it's for behind the seats to cover it with the engine. To finish this unboxing off, we're going to move on to the body. Firstly, I want to show you the inside, as it has a nicely detailed headliner which continues that loop on the main interior piece itself. I'm not really sure if I like that they molded this in, as you now have to take a lot more precautions to paint this nicely, and if it would have been a separate piece, that would have made it a lot easier. Now nonetheless, the details are there, and they could have also just skipped this step. As you can see, it's a really thick cast in a lot of parts, so if you want to scribe out the panel lines nice and deep, you don't have to worry about going through, as you have a long way to go. Nice details all around, crisp lines, crisp panel lines as well, so easily scribed out to make them a bit deeper, and what I've seen so far, all the parts fit in nicely. Now it is a bit of a dirty cast with a couple of parts inside of the resin. Nothing to worry about, as it's inside of the resin. There are not bubbles and not really imperfections, so with a bit of sanding and primer over them, you will never see them again. And there you have it. Now, I'm really excited to get onto the build. It is an expensive kit, so I'm a bit nervous about it, but I think I will be just fine. I've never really built anything like this. I have done a couple of resin bodies, but a full resin multimedia kit I haven't yet, so we'll see if I like it and how I get along.